Now we have the last but not least presentation by David. So if you have accumulated some questions that you hesitated to ask to previous speakers, dump them onto David when it will be time for asking questions. And probably he will start his talk with introducing the, like repeating once again, in which situations spin polarized is insufficient.
So I guess I can start there. So you want to use spin polarized when you have unpaired electrons. So anytime you have multiplicity or doping or anything along those lines. Spin orbit coupling is the major thing that allows is spin flipping. You're going to need it primarily when you have heavy elements as well. So as for generating the coupling files and spin orbit coupling, these are all the files you need. So you need the input overlap, which has been described a few times. I think I have a thing here for it. No, I don't. The Zoom was covering it. I thought I did, but then you need the PXX files, which have been described how you get them from MD. Then you need the spinner.ex with file which generates coupling, the oscillator strength underscore spinner ex file which generates oscillator strengths. bscript, you need two different incars for this. You need the incar underscore SP or NSP, depending on whether you're running spin polarized or spin restricted calculations for your main. And then the underscore NCL for the non-collinear. And then you need a submission script. Oh, here's where I have the input overlap description. So it's been described a few times, but the first number is your lowest orbital index that you're interested in. Second is the highest, and the third is a placeholder. And then here you see the paths to find these files. Most of them are in the bin or the spinner directory within the bin. You find the two incars within the incar directory. The input overlap you obviously need to make yourself, and the PXX files are from your molecular dynamics running, has been described by Adam, and I think Odessa also covered how to actually make them. Apparently that's not changing slides. So if you look at the submission script, the major thing that's different compared to our standard submission script is this line right here, the ./bscript line, where the normal line that you see if you look at these is this srun line that's commented out here. One of the major things to note here is the nodes. So you need to know how many nodes you're doing so you can put the correct number of cores in bscript file. So here is the bscript file for the spin orbit jobs, and it's a bit long, so I've had to cut it to move it off to the side a little bit. So you can see, if we look at the beginning here, you can see the major difference between the spin orbit jobs and the other ones is that we run, for each step, we run two jobs. We run a non-spin orbit job and a spin orbit job. So what the non-spin orbit job is generally a charge car, which we use in the spin orbit job because it tends to create more stable outcomes, work more stably when you run from a charge car. So here I have highlighted these srun scripts, which I pointed out in the submission script. So this 128 here would be the number of cores you would use. And so here in the blue boxes, I'm showing the parts of the script that copy all the output files we generate through each one into something that we save, because if we don't do this, they'll just be overwritten. And from here, so above this yellow line is our initial round, which I was running apparently 145. starting from P145. So then if we look here, I was going, the next one is 146, and I was running up to 200 in this calculation. So this is what your directory is going to look like once it's done. And you notice we got all these output files. There's the Aussie car, out car couplings, and oscillator strength files. And they have all these .0045 and etc. I have set mine up to output 4 digits. The basic one outputs is 3. So this is what it will look like. You'll just have a string of these for however many you run in that directory. So then if we actually open up the coupling file and take a look at it, you'll see that it's a matrix where the diagonal is 0. So if you look right here at the first line, you see 0 in the first position. And then if we go down about 2/3 of the way down, you see 0 in the second position. That's the second line of this matrix. And that's where my talk ends. So if there are any questions.
Okay, please join me. Thank you, David. So anyone is not tired and has energy to ask questions? Okay.
Here's an 5. So that you have that yellow arrow that hangs down.
Yep.
The echo line above that. Why do you have that there?
So that echo line, I have added that line so that I can grep S-wave out of the slurm to see exactly where my job ended when it timed out. So it's, if you notice, I have it here right above the yellow line and like 3 lines from the bottom of the thing. You notice it's after the copying the wave car to wave car hold. So I know the last wave car that got copied. So when I can start the next submission script, I don't have to dig through the slurm to figure out where it actually finished.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer. Anyone in person? I have a question. David told that heavy elements need spin orbit coupling. Is cadmium and lead heavy enough to request this form of calculation? Oh, you can redirect my question to David.
I think those lead is, since it's higher up on the periodic element table board, I remember, but.
Lead definitely is. I'm just looking at where cadmium is on the periodic table because I have no idea.
So David himself is studying semiconductors, including lead, and he is an active practitioner of spin orbit coupling. So initial calculation can be done without, but if you go professionally, you may want to. Let's keep asking David questions. Anyone online? Anyone in the chat line?
So Dimitri asks, where are all these scripts located? Primarily in the bin, in either the plain bin or the in-car or spinner directories within the bin.
Okay, so just look into slide 3 of your presentation.
Yes.
Okay.
What do the notations VC, CC, VV mean? So if we look at this, you see in the oscillator strength files, they all end on _ VC or CC, or I have any VV? Yes, I have VV. VV, those are indicating the bands that this oscillator strength file is looking at. So V is looking at valence band to valence band transitions. CC is conduction band to conduction band. VC is valence band to conduction band. Dimitri asks how to interpret 0 at the main diagonal. So here, if we look at the main diagonal, it's going to be zeros along the diagonal all the way. I just showed the first line and a third. So that's because the main diagonal is going to be the interaction of this one orbital with itself. So you're not going to have any interaction. In theory, it's going to actually be probably infinite interaction, which we then determine state as 0. Because it's a measure of how much they interact or break orthogonality. Aaron asks, why vast gamma and not vast standard? To my knowledge, I'm doing this at gamma point only. I'm not doing K points with this. So they should give the same basic results, since I'm not using wavecard to help me with the spin orbit coupling job. But there's no reason I couldn't do it in standard. To my knowledge, it's just it was written as gamma when I got the code, and I never cared enough to change it.
What is a gamma point?
So on your pretty little graph that had those colored lines at the end, gamma point is 0.
Oh.
0 momentum, 0 velocity of center of charge, center of mass of orbital. So they do not move, stay where they are. So if you have isolated molecules, there's no chance to move.
Yeah.
Metals will always separate that if they can.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Aaron? Or
yeah, and I guess the other benefit is gamma is generally quicker than the standard
yes,
executable too, so it saves some time.
and these tend to be annoyingly long.
Okay, let's check other more questions to David. Questions 1, questions 2, questions 3. So let's thank David once again.